In this video, I will show you how to make a very accurate and powerful airsoft sniper rifle. Mine cost me very little because I made it with things I already had lying around the house. And I'll bet you have a couple of these components too. I currently have no sighting system on the rifle, so I'm aiming purely by looking down the barrel. And that tree in the top of the frame is nearly 50 yards away, and I'm hitting it no problem. I'm sorry if it's a little hard for you guys to see the BBs, but they're really flying. I'm currently aiming at the tree in the top of the frame. You can see some of the BBs flying, but it's really tricky, so you may have to replay the clips. I am now going to aim at the pine tree on the left, a bit closer target. With this closer target, you can hear the BBs hitting the tree. Let's see just how fast these BBs are flying. .12 gram BBs. These speeds are being reached with the fire extinguisher at 160 psi. It's capable of holding over 200, so imagine just how fast we can get these things to fly. Right here we go with .25. These .25 gram BBs are flying 200 feet per second slower, but boy do they hit harder. These BBs are flying just a little bit too fast, so don't shoot at anybody closer than 15 yards away. Even at 15 yards, I got a pretty good welt with it, so don't shoot anyone too close. This rifle may not be field legal, so you may want to not pressurize it as much as I have. Yeah, punching through a soup can, those are going fast. That was a .12 gram BB, and you can see that it didn't hit quite as hard even though it's going way faster. There is only a 0.1 foot-pounds of energy difference between the .25 gram BBs and the .12, but you can see just how much more energy transfer there is with the .25. The .25 are also going to carry their energy much further than the .12. And .12 distance on the can. There we go. With .25 gram BBs, my homemade airsoft gun has 2.1 foot-pounds of energy, where my air rifle has 18. The first milk jug was my homemade air rifle, and you can see how it's more efficient at dumping its energy into its target. This is to give you an idea of how much air is coming out of the barrel to push each BB. It's a decent amount, and if you dry fire at point blank at your hand, it feels like a slap. So let's see how this gun works. So the Powerplant is a 5-pound ABC dry chemical fire extinguisher that has been modified with a Schrader valve so that I can fill it up with a bike pump. Then I took off the squeeze handle so that just the valve is exposed. I then screwed in 1/4 inch gas line with some tape wrapped around it so that it can screw into the threads that came with the fire extinguisher. Moving on to the trigger mechanism, all it is a modified Nerf gun. So what I have done is removed most of the front and a lot of the inner mechanics so that just the piston that creates the air in the gun is left. You can see that metal piece is the end of a ring stand, and that's so it has something that can hit the valve and actually release air. Here you can see how I modified the piston so that you can pull it back. And you can see that when you pull the trigger, the piston slams forward with some decent force. Now the piston is in place to hit the valve, and when you pull the trigger, it releases a set amount of air. I put these two pieces together simply by hot gluing them and then reinforcing it with tape. This is by far the point of most stress on the gun, so make sure that the connection is solid. The barrel is made out of an arrow, but the arrow's inner diameter is too wide without being modified, so what we have to do is take pens and glue them on the inside. If you want the exact same type of arrow, that code should help you find it. The only part of the pen we need is the main body, so you can go ahead and remove everything else. It took about 8 to 10 of these pens to fill my arrow. The first and last pen tubes need to be super glued in place, or when you shoot the rifle, they will fly out. You can see how nicely they rest inside the arrow. We need something to cover the breech of the gun, so cut off both ends of a 30-30 casing, and you're left with a tube that fits right over it perfectly. Here's a look down the inside of the barrel. This is how the gas line fits onto the barrel. It's a tight fit, but it works. To fix the barrel to the rest of the gun, I'm going to be using a small piece of pipe. It looks kind of like a shroud, but it doesn't work like one. That paper wad is keeping the inner barrel in line. Then this piece was just glued down and taped in place. This mounting system has a really cool feature. It allows the inner barrel to slide back and forth. Now this gun has two different recoils. The first is from the piston slamming the valve, and the second is from the force of the air pushed out the muzzle. The first recoil pushes the gun forward and the second pulls it back. But this barrel mounting system cancels out the second recoil, so the gun only lurches forward a little bit. Now this is a sniper rifle, and it wouldn't be complete without Hopup. In case you don't know, Hopup is a backspin on the BB that doubles the effective range of the airsoft gun. In this drawing, you can see the different trajectories of the BBs with and without Hopup. You can see the one with Hopup is much longer. The clips at the beginning of the video of me shooting the gun was prior to me installing the Hopup, so now the gun has much more range. I will show that in a little bit. I achieved this in my airsoft gun by adding a piece of electrical tape into the breech. In this drawing, you can see how this works. When the BB is pushed forward, you can see that the tape overhanging in the breech will get in the way of the BB, therefore causing it to have a backspin, which results in the hop-up trajectory. These are the shots with the hop-up. You can notice that they are flying very similarly to the ones in the beginning of the video, but the gun was at much lower pressure. I'm sorry that none of these shots are very accurate, but I was very contorted trying to get the right angle of the shot and catch it on video well. Notice how the gun is at a slight angle and the BBs turn that way also? This is a good way to account for wind. Just tilt the gun in the opposite direction of the wind. Nerf has come in really useful, and you can see how I've taped a foam dart to the end of the barrel so that I can add a suppressor. This design allows for quick changes in muzzle accessories if the need should arise in the field. This particular suppressor is capable of reducing sound by 10 to 20 decibels with each shot, which is a considerable difference seeing that the gun only shoots at 90 decibels to begin with. So here's a basic rundown of how the suppressor works. The main body is an old firework tube. This one's a little beat up because it was out in the rain, but I would usually use a fresh one. You will also need some pieces of foam pipe insulation to go in the front and back of the suppressor, some cotton, and a piece of PVC pipe that has wedges cut out of it so that the air can flow through them. You can just put this on the barrel as it is and use it as a muzzle brake, and that will actively suppress the rifle as well. However, you can make it much better by adding the suppressor. It is assembled like so. Wrap the piece of foam pipe insulation around the piece of PVC and fit it into the old firework tube. Then you just stuff the cotton inside, which is a longer process, so I'm not going to do that on video. When stuffing the cotton, however, make sure that the end of the PVC is centered in the pipe, or it will greatly hinder the accuracy of the gun. This smaller suppressor is only capable of taking off 5 to 10 decibels, but it is more maneuverable, makes the gun a little bit shorter, and causes less barrel droopage because it is lighter. This larger suppressor tends to hinder accuracy a little bit more, but if stealth is your #1 priority, it's definitely worthwhile. The purpose of these clips is to show what it looks like to get shot at by a spring pistol compared to my sniper. I know it's not a good comparison, but it's the only other airsoft gun I have. Notice how quiet my homemade sniper is with the larger suppressor? Listen carefully with these clips, and you may want to turn up your volume. Thank you for joining me for this video, and I hope you join me for the next one. Now I've got a lot more information I could give you on this sniper rifle, and if you'd like it, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.